Whether you're in the market for a new home or you're thinking of selling the one you have, working with a realtor can be a real advantage. Our KC Live home real estate expert Elizabeth Sadie is here to explain why the right realtor can make a big difference. Welcome back to the show.
Nice to see you, Michelle.
All right, so now do you work with folks buying and selling their homes?
No, I work on both. I work
Both
with, as a buyer's agent and as a seller's agent. There are times that I help people in selling their home and then buying the new home, which is a great advantage in being, someone that's on both sides of the transaction there. Another advantage about being kind of a buyer's agent and a seller's agent is that I'm in the mindset of each, day in and day out. To where as a listing agent and we get an offer, I'm able to say, well, this might be where the buyers are kind of coming from here. This is what I'm seeing in the market with what buyers' attitudes are and what they're, what they're expecting and what they're thinking right now.
Because it changes day in, day out. There might be a trend, people want the older, more homes with character, then I want newer, or certain price range is hot, and then another price range is hot.
Exactly, and with the huge shift that there was at the beginning of the year with the market, it was nice to be able to see, like, oh, okay, it's shifted and this is how we need to react.
Okay, so for those folks that are considering selling their home, kind of walk us through that initial meeting that you have with them.
Yeah, so the initial meeting is something that's completely free. So it's a time for me to come over and to sit and answer people's questions. A lot of folks say, like, how does the process work? They've never sold a house before. They've sold a house and it was 10 years ago. And so a lot of times we sit down and just kind of go through, answering questions. They, get to ask questions of me. It's also a great time for me to ask questions of them. It's no need for people to come to me with all the answers. Like, that's one of the things I enjoy, and I think that makes me really like this job, is that I get to help people through that process of figuring out where they want to go, when they want to go, and how they want to get there.
It's incredibly overwhelming. It's the biggest purchase you'll probably ever make in your lifetime is your home.
Oh yeah,
the biggest investment.
It definitely is, and it is a huge investment. It's a huge thing that folks have a lot of money tied up in it and saying, okay, how do we proceed? And like many of folks with their homes, I'm a real person, and I have a garage that I've now lived in my home for 6 months, and I got to park in my garage for the last week, so it was a huge project to get that garage cleaned out. My mother-in-law will be happy to tell you that my basement is a mess, so I am not perfect. And I think it's good for folks to understand that during that initial meeting, we do a tour of the home, and we go through, and people say, well, we were going to do this, or we were going to do that. Help us understand, should we do that before we sell, if we're going to sell in 30 days, or should we not? And so don't worry about making everything perfect before, having the initial conversation. A big part of me coming is helping people understand if now is the time to move and make that kind of a jump. And the same thing as a buyer. So a lot of times buyers don't know. They say, well, gosh, we're pre-approved up to this, but we have no clue like where to go from there. And the husband says he wants a 3-car garage, but that's about as much as he's providing us as guidance. So I work a lot of times kind of as a middle person between parties, if there's more than one party involved. And it's just, that's, I think, one of the things that I excel at is asking questions and kind of sitting back and being quiet and letting the two people talk to each other.
Navigating the husband and wife as they discuss what they want. Okay, let's talk about the buyer side. Do you sit down and set up a plan with them, or kind of, goals they want to look, the homes they want to look at?
By all means, so we definitely sit down and we kind of discuss goals. So whether it is how many bathrooms, okay, and how many bedrooms, how are you going to use those bedrooms? Because sometimes people will say, well, we absolutely have to have a 4-bedroom because my husband works from home and he needs an office. Well, I mean, sometimes there might be a room in the basement that, has a window but no closet, so it's not technically a basement or technically a bedroom. But we could use that as a candidate, especially if there's not a lot to choose from. So we kind of go over goals and what's important, whether they want big projects or little projects. And then often when we go out, and I think that's another thing that I excel at, in the fact that I've renovated a lot of houses with my husband. So I can often walk in and go, okay, this has 7 of the 8 things that you asked for. And I know this one thing isn't perfect, but let's look at how maybe we readjust this room, or maybe paint this a different color or do something different to make it fit.
You can make it work.
Definitely.
And help them along the process and imagine their perfect home and get there. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us, and we appreciate your time. Still,